Discover the transformative power of Zen and the art of NLP. A lot more success with a lot less stress on Transformation Talk Radio. Every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, Dr. Steve Simpson combines the principles of Zen philosophy with the techniques of neuro-linguistic programming to help you achieve your goals with ease and tranquility. Whether you're seeking personal growth, professional development, or improved relationships, this show offers practical strategies and insights to navigate life's challenges with a calm and focused mindset. Get ready to embrace a new level of success and serenity. Zen and the art of NLP starts now.
Hello, everyone. It certainly does start now today, because one of our greatest gifts is probably the one you never think about. It's your gift of the way you speak. However, please bear in mind, it can also be your greatest enemy. I'm Dr. Steve Simpson, and you are listening to Zen and the Art of NLP on Transformation Talk Radio. Today's headline topic is the power and the peril of the way we speak. I've got three quick quotes for you, and which I hope you like. Do you know what the statesman Nelson Mandela thought about talk? He said, if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. And the second quote is, do you know what actor Terrence Howard thinks about talking? In every person we meet, there's this little piece of God in them, and that's who you talk to. And that's the only person that you allow to talk to you. When something else is speaking, you walk away from that. If it's not good, if it's not love, you walk away from it. And finally, this is a short one. Do you know what the actor John Wayne thought about talk? Here we go. He said, talk low, talk slow, and don't say too much. Well, he's earned a lot more money than I have, so I think maybe there's a lesson for me as well. And the source of these three inspirational quotes is from brainyquote.com. Please stay with us for the next 30 minutes and let us help you experience that sweet spot of mind, body, and soul to embrace a new level of success and serenity, helping you achieve a lot more success with a lot less stress. Today, the focus is on learning to talk the right way and avoid the traps of talking the wrong way. Back in history, pinpointing exactly when humans learned to speak is tricky because language leaves no fossils behind. Therefore, estimates range widely from tens of thousands of years to millions of years ago. And the problem is, when we gain one new skill, we often lose an old one, which could be more critical and important. Therefore, bear in mind that language is a two-edged sword. It can get us into trouble, or it can make our lives more accessible and successful. Please post any questions and comments you have, and I'll do my best to answer them in the final part of the show. You can also call in live on our live call-in number 1-800-930-2819. Okay, if you're feeling frustrated because you don't seem to achieve what you deserve from life, when you look around and see what other people are doing, the chances are that, for one reason or another, you have forgotten how to talk the right way and fallen into the trap of speaking the wrong way. Step one to fixing this is understanding how we learn to talk as a species, because this just might have been the greatest mistake in our history. People like you and me have been shuffling around this planet for about 10 million years, given a million years or so, one way or the other, and look very different from how we look now. In evolutionary terms, 10 million years is just a blink of an eye, yet we were fast learners. During that time, we learned how to walk on two legs. We learned how to use stone tools. We could make our own fires. We could cook food. And we could, sadly, eliminate most of our competition, including our relatives, the peaceful and kind Neanderthals. I'm not sure they were that peaceful, but who knows? The Neanderthals disappeared about 30,000 years ago, and it was soon after humans did something foolish, and we are now paying a very high price for their stupidity. The extinction of the Neanderthals at this time and our stupid mistake may not be a coincidence. Our stupid mistake was that we learnt how to talk. For over 9 million years, give or take a year or two, we had managed very well without talk. Strangely enough, we communicated very effectively. It was much easier then because we lived in tiny social groups, probably only one or a few families living together. And speech is highly complex. The anatomy alone of the mouth, the tongue, and the voice box are intricate and detailed. The physiology of speech is the process that uses our anatomy to construct words and sentences, and it's also highly complex. Yet these changes happened in a very short evolutionary time, and these language skills, once learnt, spread rapidly across the planet. We soon learned to interpret the meaning of different grunting sounds, and we certainly understood the ear twisting and hair pulling that often went with the grunts. Occasionally, we would bump into a stranger on the forest trail who would not appreciate our grunts, so we would kill him before he killed us. Bear in mind that men generally kill many more people than women. During our history before speech, we survived every threat that nature put in our way. In other words, we were resilient, we were adaptable, we were opportunistic, and most importantly, we were successful. And language threatened all of these benefits we had learned the hard way, and it still does. Step 2 of the 3 steps is understanding the problems that language causes and what we lose. When we learn a new skill, we usually lose an old one that we previously relied upon. A modern example would be GPS. It's a beautiful invention that allows us to navigate the world to an accuracy of centimeters or even less, as long as it keeps working. Because when it fails, we are lost in more ways than one, because we've lost our innate power to know where we are and how to get to where we want to go. When we learned how to talk, we lost the skill of non-verbal communication. We were experts then at interpreting body language, reading emotions, and pattern recognition. We knew many things intuitively, and we acted on our instincts. In other words, we were psychic or something close to it. The problem we created for ourselves when we learned to talk is that language is ambiguous and that words only approximate our thoughts. Our attention span was already starting to become shorter, and over the years it would continue to shorten, and it's probably now shorter than ever before in history. As a result, our conversations would also need to be much shorter. And because our thoughts are so abstract, we struggle to find the words to describe them. Therefore, these thoughts necessarily became generalized, with much content deleted. What's left is distorted by our own personal bias, resulting in very little truth remaining. And it's no wonder we get so confused. It's no wonder that we have so many arguments, and it's no wonder that we continue to fight senseless wars. These natural distortions make it almost impossible to separate fact from fiction. We've lost our psychic abilities, or whatever they might have been called, and we are now in danger of developing psychotic tendencies and having a rather distorted view of what reality may or may not be. And when I was thinking about these things, I was going back, as I often do, to my time at medical school. which I enjoyed greatly. And when we were allowed onto the wards to see real patients, one of the first things we had to learn how to do was how to take a medical history. Now, if you've ever been admitted to hospital, you'll know what I'm talking about, I hope, because at some stage early in the admission, a junior hospital doctor, perhaps, or maybe a senior medical student, would have come along with their files and they'd have asked you lots of questions. And you'd probably be thinking, how long is this going to last? How many more stupid questions are they going to ask? And we soon learned the difference between direct and indirect questions because our bosses explained it to us, and we learned from our own experience. Now, an example of an indirect question would be, how are you feeling today? It's a perfectly normal thing to ask. But if you're a busy doctor working in an accident and emergency department or in an acute hospital, you've probably got about a dozen things that you're having to do at the same time. And you can't afford the luxury of an hour or 2 hours conversation about how does a person feel. So a direct question would get round that. And an example would be, do you have pain? And it's direct because it can only be answered in one of two ways, either yes or no. And if they ask the question yes, then you say, which part of the body is the pain? And hopefully they will point you in roughly the right direction, and you can start to draw up your differential diagnosis and start thinking about the tests you're going to order. So anyway, that was a few years ago, but what I learned then is good now, because if you're a psychotherapist, again, very important to have a very targeted approach to the questions you ask, because they will determine the quality of the answers that you get back. And to remind you, you're listening to Zen and the Art of NLP with me, Dr. Steve Simpson. We're going to take a swift break very shortly, but before we do that, let's take a moment to think about these three questions. Question one, what is the one thing that you desire the most? You've probably spent a lot of time thinking about this, maybe almost all the time, almost all your spare time. And it's important to know what you desire, because from desire come many, many good things. Question two, what is the one thing that is stopping you from achieving it? It's important to spend just as much time thinking about this, if not more, because if there's something blocking you, it's going to have a big effect on the outcome. And the last question, which is the one you probably haven't thought too much about, most of us, what's the one thing that you want to share with others, sharing and caring? And several reasons why this is important, and this may be the most important of the three questions, is because when you do that, you're raising your frequencies. And the more you raise your frequencies, the more they will spread out to every corner of our planet and maybe the whole universe. And that means that at least one person, and probably many, many more people, are going to resonate with that frequency, and they're going to be interested in what you're saying, and they're going to be interested with what you're sharing with them. And because of the way the universe works, one way or another, you will be rewarded for that. When we return, we'll get on to step 3, the last step, which is to learn how Zen and NLP can help balance our speech's conflicting positive and negative consequences to enhance our persuasion skills and our communication skills to at least the next level. Trust me, I'm a doctor. I still am. This is a lot easier than it might sound. Stay tuned. We will be right back, helping you achieve a lot more success with a lot less stress. And as promised, we are right back. I hope you enjoyed pondering those 3 big questions during the break, especially the third one about sharing. The best way to connect with me, and I hope you do, is to check out my website, drstevensimpson.com. Sign up for my free weekly newsletter and discover plenty of other free stuff to explore, including the Zen Doctor and the Poker Genius podcast channels. If you feel rich, and I hope you are, or I hope you will be, you can even purchase some of my books, hypnotic audio books, and coaching programs. They're all on my website anyway. I confidently recommend, as you would expect, Zen and the Art of Being Smart. It's an online course, and this Zen Elite Performance Masterclass is presented as 6 audiobook files with written notes. Over the years, my elite clients have found these topics the most helpful, which is why I've bundled them together. They are posting some pretty massive results, even at the moment, so something's working. These Zen audiobooks contain hypnotic language to open the vault, which is guarding your unconscious mind's massive power. The 6 monster topics in this course are: number 1, confidence; number 2, visualization; number 3, synchronicity; number 4, the collective unconscious; number 5, intuition and psychic skills; and finally, number 6, living in the 1% of reality. Sounds a bit crazy, but it's not as crazy as it sounds. Anyway, on to step 3. Step 3 is to learn how Zen and NLP can help balance our speech's conflicting positive and negative consequences to enhance our persuasion and communication skills to at least the next level. But first, let's highlight some benefits of speaking from the heart rather than the mind. The benefits of speech are wide-ranging and can impact both your personal and your professional life. Here are some of the key advantages. Public speaking, or even speaking up in conversations, can be nerve-wracking for many of us, maybe even most of us. It'll never be all of us, but it could be close to not all of us. However, overcoming that fear, which can be done, and expressing yourself clearly, which can be done, can be a huge confidence booster. As you gain experience and see that you have valuable things to say, you'll feel more comfortable speaking up in all areas of your life. Speech is a core part of communication. You'll naturally become a better communicator by refining your speaking abilities. This includes formulating clear and concise thoughts, expressing yourself persuasively, and actively listening to others, particularly that, listening to others. Speaking confidently and articulately can make a big difference in interviews, presentations, and meetings. Speech skills can also be helpful for networking and building relationships with colleagues and clients. Speech is how we connect with others and build relationships. Effective communication lets you share your thoughts and feelings with loved ones, constructively resolve conflicts, and build trust. Not keep things bottled up inside. Speech can be a powerful tool for self-discovery and learning. You can gain greater clarity on your thoughts and ideas by expressing yourself verbally. This can lead to new perspectives and a deeper understanding of yourself, particularly important in therapy, this, as you can imagine. And I've got 3 golden tips which will help to balance our speech's conflicting positive and negative consequences to enhance our persuasion and communication skills. And these 3 golden tips are pretty much good for anything and anyone at any time. And the first golden tip is to speak less. Now, let's bear in mind there are different types of speaking that we have. We have the speech inside our head, which is called internal dialogue. Now, this wouldn't be a problem if this was a very encouraging voice and inspiring us to great achievements and boosting our confidence. We would want more of it. But as we all know, it's usually not. It's usually a negative, whining voice, which seems to be trying to undermine everything positive that we're trying to do. So turn down the volume of this voice because you don't need it. And if possible, not only turn the volume down, but just pull the plug because, you don't need that. And also the words that are going to come out of your mouth, remember, they've been processed through millions of brain cells. And there's a chance that there's been a few false connections somewhere. So just pause for a second before you say something, just as a double check. Are these the right words to use? Is this the right situation to use them? Is there a better way I can express that? Or should I save these words for a later occasion? And that's going to help you to be a much better communicator, even better than you already are. Secret number 2, listen more. That's kind of like the opposite. And in fact, if you do more listening, you'll automatically, without having to think about it, speaking less. Listen more, not only with your ears, but listen with your eyes. I know that sounds crazy, but what you're doing is you're forensically studying every part of this other person that you're speaking to, or it might be hundreds or thousands of people you're speaking to. And that's going to help a lot in many different ways. And the third one, which we've mentioned before, which is the tough one, let go of ego. Because once you realize that it's not about you, a lot of that pressure and stress and confidence, it disappears, it evaporates away. So how do you let go of ego? It's not easy. We've talked about some of the ways. If you meditate, that will help. If you do yoga, that will help. If you take walks in nature, that will help. If you spend time doing a flow experience, that will help. And if you really are rich, as I said, you can buy a ticket and go into outer space. When you look out of that window and look down, you're going to find the world. You're going to be so awesome that you're going to recognize that your place in this universe is tiny, tiny, tiny. And when you recognize that, what is there to worry about? And as usual, the more you practice spending quality time listening to others rather than talking to them, the better your communication and rapport skills will be. So that shouldn't be too hard, should it? We've got a few questions and we have time to get through at least one of them. And Richard from Portland wants to know, how can I develop psychic skills? Well, first of all, let me say there's nothing here that you have to do new to get these skills. You can't buy them in the supermarket, obviously. Those skills are already there because they've been lying inside our people's brains, our relatives, for 10 million years. So they're still there. But particularly as we've learned to speak a lot, they get pushed into the background. Once we start using our logical brain, then we're putting distance between the deep thinking of our unconscious mind and ego. So as I said, some of those three golden tips that I gave you a minute ago are going to help. And I think also to trust your intuition. I mean, obviously weigh up the risks if something goes wrong, but generally speaking, you'll get these nudges that will guide you in roughly the right direction. Okay, Richard, sorry that had to be such a quick answer. Time for one more. Fiona from Albuquerque wants to know, I'm anxious about public speaking. Aren't we all? Yes, we know that feeling, Fiona. Can you give me some tips for this? Well, I hope that I can, and I hope that I already have done. So you might want to, replay some of this previous stuff in this episode. But some quick tips that I can add to that is bear in mind that whatever you say, 5 minutes after you finish talking, the people are going to forget what you were talking about. Most people, a week later, almost everybody will have forgotten. And a year later, I'll be very surprised if more than one person remembers. So even if you do, so to speak, put your foot in it, we all do that. But most people are very tolerant and they understand how difficult it is speaking to others. Okay, very, very quick. Blair from Brisbane wants to know how much of our communication is non-verbal. I'm squeezing this one in. Sorry, it's so quick. But basically, the majority of our communication is non-verbal. Let us never forget that. Pay as much attention to how we look and the way we move and our posture than we do. Then remember that it's more important than what we actually say a lot of the time. Moving on towards my favorite time, it's time for the Zen and the Art of NLP top tip of the week. Well, no apologies. I'm going to hammer this one again. It's until you remember this off by heart, in your heart, speak less, listen more, and let go of ego, because this is the easy way to a lot more success with a lot less stress. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a great program lined up for you on the same day and at the same time and at the same place next week. Be there and invite all your friends and family and everybody else too, even the people you don't like, because who knows, you might even get to like them and they might like you. Let's all raise the vibration of our world to a higher frequency because it certainly needs it. Don't forget to check out my website, drstevensimpson.com, and discover plenty of other great stuff too. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you'll come back next week. Have an absolutely fantastic, rich week. Goodbye for now.
You have been listening to the Zen and Art of NLP. A lot more success with a lot less stress. Tune in every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as we dive into the depths of your unconscious mind and awaken your intuition, unlocking hidden talents and supercharging your personal and professional relationships. Continue embarking on a stress-free journey towards unparalleled success by subscribing to future episodes and stay updated on the latest content. Easily share these captivating shows with your loved ones and create meaningful connections. Book a personal session with Dr. Steve Simpson to delve deeper into the topics that resonate with you. You can visit his website at drstevensimpson.com.